Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Rabbi Shakit. Joe and Will. We've had many incredible moments in Yeshiva High School this year, and I must tell you that this, for me, and I think for all your Rebbeim, this has been the highlight of our year, and I thank you. You know, there was a family that lived in a relatively low middle-class neighborhood. The average house was 2 3-bedroom ranch-style houses. They drove used cars. And suddenly this individual inherited a fortune of money from an uncle that died. And he wanted to build onto his house, revamp his home, completely upgrade his cars in the driveway. But he was a little bit nervous. He was nervous that in doing so, he would incur the envy, the jealousy, and maybe even the ayin hara of his neighbors, who lived in a much more meager fashion. So before he gutted his home and put on his addition and bought new cars, changed his wardrobe, he flew to Eretz Yisrael, to the great Gadol Rav Chaim Kanievsky. And he said to Rav Chaim Kanievsky, he says, I'm in a dilemma. He said, I've come across this money, a fortune from God, a gift, clearly. And he told him what he planned to do, but he said, I'm nervous. I don't want my neighbors to be jealous, to be envious. What do I do? So Rav Chaim said to him, tell me, he said, is there any Masechta that you have learned that you could call your own? And he said, no, not really. And he said, is there a parak of Chumash, is there a parsha in Chumash that you relate to, that you connect with, that you associate yourself with? He said, no, not particularly. He said, is there a mitzvah that you call your own? Is there a mitzvah that has your name on it, that people think of you and they immediately associate you with this particular mitzvah? He said, no, not really. So Rav Chaim Kanievsky says, well, then I have good news for you and bad news for you. He says the good news is you can go ahead and build your addition, you can upgrade your cars, you can change your wardrobe, you can buy your wife the most beautiful furs and most expensive jewelry. The bad news is that you can do all this because there's nothing about you that will incur the envy or the jealousy of your neighbors. Will and Joe, you have become the envy of all of us because you own a Masechta today. And we, Weinbaum Yeshiva High School, thank you. Thank you for setting that bar and for setting a standard that all of the future Talmidim and Talmidot of Yeshiva High School could now try to match and even hopefully one day emulate. Mazel tov, we are so proud.